Test, test. Okay, now that we've gone over FM synth, FM, PM, AM, and ring modulation, as well as how to use all these parameters, knowing that we can have our ADSR, multi-segment envelope, LFO, or sequencer, or a key scaler modulate literally any knobs that you see. Let's get into one of our other types of oscillators. So right now, I have oscillator 1 on, and it's a basic type of oscillator. So it's giving me just essentially one waveform at a time. I can use any of these single cycle waveforms, or just any of the basic ones like a sine or a triangle. What I can also do is change it to, how about not a basic oscillator, but an additive. This is an additive style synth, to where now I have volumes on this row, pan on this row, detunes on this row, and then the frequency or the partial or harmonic number that it is, and then the wave of that one. So let's change this one to be a sine wave. Now if I turn this one up right here, it's going to turn up this sine wave, which is the second harmonic, so on and so forth. It's using the same style as a B3 organ, so you can get some really cool organ sounds with this. I can also pan each individual voice a little bit to kind of give it some more flavor. I can also detune them a little bit from each other to give it kind of a fuller tone. And then if I want to, I can also certainly adjust what waveforms these are. The other thing I can do here, and clearly I can also, with this one oscillator right here, I can do FM, PM, AM, or ring modulation. So it's still on oscillator number 1, even though I have technically 8 right here. Now I can change this also to be a wavetable. A wavetable is very similar to the additive synth, in that you can have multiple waveforms, except for in this case, it only plays one at a time. So right now I have a sine wave right here. If I add more in here, perhaps click the add button, load waveform. Let's just do a random waveform. It brought a waveform right here, which is going to be on the end of our wavetable compared to the beginning over here where it's a sine wave. Now, what I can do is I can index through them. So see, as I move this, it kind of goes through all of those. So I can start with my sine wave, and it'll slowly turn or morph into the ending waveform over here that I have, sounding like this. And I lost it. Oh, it's because oscillator 1's not on. There we go. So let's go crazy with it. Let's just add in a bunch of random waveforms. Oh, right click, load wavetable, random wavetable. Let's try that again. Let's get a nice random one. So I could perhaps have an LFO adjust my modulation or modulate my index. That's because my attack is so slow on there. Let's actually make that fast. Maybe engage the filter. You can even have that be modulated by the same LFO. Or how about a different LFO, number 2? So I'm making sure I'm on LFO number 2. But notice how all the controls are essentially the same. The only difference with the wavetable versus the basic and the additive types of synthesizers is that this one only plays one waveform at a time. It just cycles between those, kind of finding all those in-between stages. Very digital, but also really cool.